what that means, but in many of these pictures that Jan Luyken made, the civil authority always holds just a crude stick that he got in the woods somewhere with 3 points. That shows that he's the civil authority. So like I told you before, the priest is probably saying or thinking, I know these are better people than we are, but we have to do this to protect the government. The government leader says, these are better people than we are, but we have to do this to protect the church.
How old is the plate?
It was first used in 1685.
Wow, that is just something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell them the story how it was found.
How'd they stamp that in there?
It's over on the display. You'll see if you go there. It explains how it's done.
Tells about how it's done.
Really? I want to get
Tell
closer.
them how they found these things.
So you can see it better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see it much better now. It's just that the light.
We
Wow.
should
If you take copper polish, they get just as nice and clean like a penny. But I don't like to do it too often
Because it can wear it down.
it
Copper's soft.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I have prints of this upstairs saying they called my name. I think half a dozen prints, so I'll be probably selling those.
How did they find them?
Oh, okay. Well, they were first used in 1685 in the Martyr's Mirror, and then if you see the display case, the 1685 edition was about the size of this Bible, but that book was too expensive for the average person. Only merchants and doctors and lawyers could buy that. But the pictures were so popular that they printed 2 little editions with just the pictures. And those are also in my display, and those are exceedingly rare.
Wow. Now, is this in your books? This about the plate, not in your 2 books? No.
So, to finish your story, how they found them.
You want to sit down?
Oh,
You sit down.
well then, like they were used in 1685 and then early 1700s, those books are not dated, we don't know when. And then they were, then in all the Martyr's Mirrors that you will see over there, the first 4 or 5 editions are Holland Dutch, they're not German. And then when the Mennonites came to America, the Revolutionary War was coming up. So they wanted their sons to know about why we don't go to war, because they didn't want their sons to go to war. And then they wanted the book translated into German. And so Peter Miller, who was a leader at the Ephrata cloisters, he was a what did they call him, Seventh-day Baptist. He translated it in 11 months. And so now we had a German edition printed in America. That's the Ephrata edition. They're very rare, but I had 4 at one time, and I sold one. I still have 3. And those were, about a third of those were still unbound at the cloisters when the Revolutionary War came up, and the American soldiers went in and confiscated them and used them for gun rotting.
No.
But there were left after the war, some, and they brought them back again. What was that? Where am I at?
Well, what about where they found them?
Oh, yes. Then an Amish, that was in 1748, the Ephrata edition was printed. The first German one was printed in America. Then there was a very prominent Amish bishop in Germany who never came to America. His name was Hans Nafziger. And he had a mill, and the millers usually were better off than the farmers.
Yeah.
And so he had enough money that he got a hold of that American German editions and used the text And he went down to Holland and bought the plates. That was 1780. That was about 90 years after they had first been used. And then he apparently put them in his attic, and they were forgotten for another 100 years. In about 1910, I think, a fellow who bought the house was cleaning out the attic, and he found these copper plates, and he didn't know what they were. And then a man named Peter Weaver, bought the plates, and he had them in his possession. He was a German industrialist. He had a large factory in Munich, but he lived in a place called Greenstadt, had a little office there. And these plates were bought in 1979. We bought them, and the owner then was the grandson of this Peter Weber. Peter Weber was no longer living, but this grandson said when they used to visit Grandpa, he used to get these copper plates out and he'd look at these pictures. And then, because of Hitler during the war, asked for all copper to be brought into gun barrels, even pennies, anything that was copper. So apparently he hid these plates. And the rest of the story is then when this grandson was remodeling the office in 1977, I think. The ceiling was bad, so they tore the ceiling down, and when they tore the ceiling down, a wooden box fell down with 30 of these plates in it. About 1/3 of them.
Wow.
The rest were never found. And so
story.
we assumed that we assumed that there were maybe 3 boxes, and the rest were hidden somewhere else,
Or taken.
we don't know.
Could be still hidden.
Wow.
Wow.
But Amos Hoover has 2, I have 1, and there's a few universities. I think Goshen has 1, but the rest of them are now in Kansas, Houston, Kansas.
Under who is taking care of those? Okay.
So are they, is somebody put a value on them?
Oh yes, these are worth thousands of dollars. I paid $1,700 for this one, but you could get much more.
Yeah.
So what do you want to do with it?
Show it to
Yeah.
curious people.
We're
No,
so
I'm not
honored.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, sir.